Thank you, Eric, and thanks everybody. As a planner that gets to travel around the country and work on downtown plans, it's incredibly exciting to be standing here today. I actually grew up in Baton Rouge, and so I'm happy to be home working on this incredible project. Over the past year, we've had the fortune of engaging with a very robust stakeholder group and steering committee that has guided this process, and I think it's important to underscore all the people that have been involved in this process. And so some of those logos are up on the screen, but I just want to stress that this is not a plan born just from our thoughts, but through a series of very strong conversations throughout the past year. As Eric mentioned, we are getting close to the finish line. We've been really working since the beginning of this year to understand the conditions that exist within downtown, develop a series of big ideas and a framework plan. And right now we're focused on how does this thing get done? What are the implementation mechanisms, financial, partnerships, policies, programs, projects that underscore this? And so over the next couple of months, as we gather the final round of kind of broad community feedback, we'll be really focused on implementation so that when we leave, what you're left with is a roadmap for how to get things done. What that looks like is really underscored in this graphic, which focuses on the establishment of core values that surround the master plan itself, how those then translate to a series of big ideas, those then translate into specific recommendations, action items, and ultimately that leads to implementation. Throughout this process, we've held a series of community conversations. We've had well over 5,000 points of engagement. We've had an incredible turnout from a survey perspective, hundreds of people that have showed up. And I think that underscores the excitement that people have around what this plan could do. Plan Baton Rouge 1 and 2 were, by all accounts, very successful in implementing a series of big, bold initiatives, as well as strategic things that happen that have improved the quality of life and the economic vitality in downtown. And we are very excited to think that this could also do that. Through that engagement, there has been an overwhelming alignment around the objectives that we're trying to accomplish, turning downtown from just a place of commerce and business into a recreational hub, a place that has great urban spaces, an improved and activated riverfront with things to do, and a better pedestrian experience. And so how does that come together in the big moves for downtown? Everything we have done and everything that's laid out in this plan is thought of as part of a larger constellation of improvements within downtown. Downtown needs to serve the broader parish, and it needs to be a downtown for everyone. And so how we think about these big moves and the guiding principles fitting into the myriad of things that are happening within downtown, how they better connect to the incredible institutions of Southern and LSU, how we connect to North Baton Rouge and Mid-City, how we link the greenways that Breck has been so thoughtful of. All of that is fundamental to the framework that we have in front of us today. The plan is structured around 5 guiding principles of market diversity, neighborhood places, establishing a new front porch along the river, creation of cultural and civic spines, and establishment of clear connections. I'll walk through each of those in more detail. Those come together in the resulting framework plan, which you can see in front of you today. This outlines public investments, private investments, concentrations of redevelopment, new transportation networks, and the reorganization of existing transportation networks to try and establish a framework for investment for the coming decade and beyond. This vision, I think, is one that is exciting, yet implementable, and I think that's critical to how we think about downtown planning. We could give you all the sort of pie-in-the-sky ideas, but if they're not easily understood and able to be implemented, that would be a failed plan. And so our team has been laser focused on trying to both paint a picture for what the future could look like, but also work with the partners at BRAF and others to think about that implementation. This rendering is just one of several that our team will do to present the kind of final vision for the plan. We think it's an incredible opportunity to really reestablish Baton Rouge as a true river city that has room for investment, that's open for business, and is available to all. This is also an opportunity to think about a long-term vision that provides recreational opportunities, economic opportunities, and partnership opportunities between the city, the state, and the community and private investment for the betterment of all in Baton Rouge. The structure of the plan from those guiding principles is to establish a series of key big moves that support each one of those themes, and then specific recommendations that are associated with that. And throughout the plan, we've focused on key performance indicators and planning metrics so that as this plan progresses through implementation, you all will be able to track success. And so I'll dive into each of the guiding principles, the first being market diversity. When you think about Baton Rouge is what I would call a polycentric city. There's a lot of nodes of activity, job concentrations, tax bases around the parish. And as we think about how downtown relates to that, there is really an opportunity for downtown to do more and to do more for more people. And so what we've focused on in this guiding principle is really establishing clear objectives that we think will create the sort of market diversity that will allow downtown to be more robust. Things like growing the residential population, things like diversifying businesses, things like thinking about the partnership between academic institutions and their locations potentially in downtown. With this with this guiding principle, the big moves are really around bringing people back to downtown through establishing priority corridors for local and small business, the concept of bringing students downtown through academic partnerships and student housing, and bringing business downtown through identifying a series of key places where we think redevelopment could happen. The next guiding principle, neighborhood places, is really about establishing a vision for smaller scale interstitial spaces throughout downtown. It's not enough to just think about 3rd Street as the kind of core place within downtown, but how can more neighborhoods have access to public space and daily life amenities throughout? This guiding principle really focuses on a series of key metrics around everything from early childhood education to the establishment of new mixed-use nodes within walking distance of existing residential populations. The big moves are really to establish program and activities in the existing and potentially new neighborhood concentrations within downtown, to create a network of housing ideas for how to create more housing opportunity for all. So not just high density housing perhaps along the riverfront, but how do we think about missing middle and affordable and attainable housing throughout the downtown area? And then again, establishing mixed-use hubs through identifying a couple of key corridors like Main Street and Government Street as really armatures for small and local business. The next guiding principle of culture and a civic spine is really around revealing the history and culture that exist in downtown Baton Rouge. There is a remarkable history that is already here. It just is hard to understand in physical space. And so how we think about establishing a new network of signage and wayfinding, how we bring together partnerships within some of the existing cultural institutions. The big moves associated with this are highlighting cultural identity through signage and wayfinding, celebrating the story through the creation of a key civic spine that connects the Capitol all the way through downtown along 4th Street, and then really building on the robust work of the DDD and others around creating these walks of discovery that tie together some of the important historic points within downtown through a collection of pedestrian and bicycle trails. The fourth guiding principle of clear connections is really around establishing critical gateways and corridors that make transit and active transportation more reliable. There are a lot of physical barriers and challenges to mobility within downtown, and so what this guiding principle does is looks to establish how we reinvest in the transit corridors that we're already working on, how we look to expand pedestrian and bicycle activity within the area, and several others. The big moves associated with this are surrounding the redefinition of the pattern. What this means is looking at strategic one-way to two-way street conversions and looking at a couple of critical barriers where vehicular traffic and pedestrian circulation tend to get really messy. The next big move is what we're calling stitch and weave, and this is around establishing a couple of very clear corridors for bike and pedestrian improvements. We can't invest in every street, but if we focus on the right ones, we can really shift the tide in terms of how people perceive walking and biking in downtown. And the last big move associated with this guiding principle is what we're calling transit-oriented decisions. And so this is doubling down on the BRT corridor, focusing on reinvestment along that line, and then the establishment of a counterpart transit corridor that would connect the northern part of the downtown to Mid-City. And then lastly, the last guiding principle, a new front porch, is really centered around what makes Baton Rouge authentic. The Mississippi River is truly a remarkable asset, but it is underutilized, very underutilized. And so how we think about transforming that into a place that people can be proud of and one that spurs economic activity is fundamental to this plan. This guiding principle really situates around establishing active uses along the riverfront itself, expanding potential gathering spaces for people to use, ensuring that there is human comfort associated with the riverfront itself, and ensuring that there is pedestrian access. And lastly, fundamental to this is really understanding that if we use the river appropriately, we can really see it as an armature for development. And so thinking about housing along the waterfront as a key proposition of this plan. The big moves associated with this guiding principle are the establishment of two key anchors, programmatic anchors on the north and south side of downtown. The idea of providing continuous access through tying into existing trail networks that don't quite make it to the river, and then identifying the underdeveloped land along the riverfront that can really serve as a place for growth. All of that comes together in the downtown framework plan, which you can see on the screen here. And the goal here is not to provide precision around absolutely every parcel in downtown, but a strategic framework for how we make decisions moving forward. How all of those big ideas come down and hit the ground, we've explored through what we're calling character areas. And each one of these represents a combination of a series of those guiding principles, a collision of some of those big moves, and it allows us to really think about where the rubber meets the road in this plan. The first is what we're calling the Southern Gateway that really sits underneath the bridge at the sort of southern end of downtown, and as Nicholson comes in, and we see this as a remarkable opportunity for diversifying housing options, looking at student housing and adaptive reuse of some of the publicly owned facilities that exist within that area, again, to double down on that transit investment that's already being made and better link Old South Baton Rouge to the riverfront itself. You can imagine this concentration of new housing as an opportunity to bring students downtown and to bring life that those students would bring there, to further patronize businesses and add vitality to the place. The next character area is Government Street, and this is really an incredible opportunity to link the success that has happened in Mid-City with downtown. Right now, there's a sort of perceptual gap between all the great things that have happened in Mid-City and downtown. And so this is a real opportunity to think about streetscape and public infrastructure improvements to really serve as a front door to downtown, but also to link some really major investment opportunities like the School for the Blind site to the riverfront itself. Within Beauregard Town, there's also an incredible opportunity to think about things like missing middle housing and affordable and attainable housing within this area, really without changing the character of that neighborhood, but really infilling some of those vacant and underutilized lots. This would really provide an infusion of people that live and call this place home, really positioning government from a very car-dominated environment today to a corridor for business and people. The next character area, what we're saying the Maine and Florida corridor, really presents a remarkable opportunity to establish a stronger connection between the incredible success that happened with the moving of the state offices and the tons of workers that exist there to provide Main Street as a place for small and local businesses and retail to thrive. That would then connect to the downtown east community, which right now feels very disconnected from the core of downtown. There's also an incredible opportunity to think about a couple of very underutilized parcels in and around the Florida corridor, particularly on the west side of downtown, and how those might be a concentration of new residential infill development. Some of these are tactical moves like potential lighting and upgrades to the underpass that exists there today. And some of them are major moves that would include establishing innovation hubs that could be an academic presence for LSU or Southern or Baton Rouge Community College in and adjacent to the state office worker complex. The next character area, Downtown East, presents a really incredible place to think about establishing a new residential neighborhood within downtown. While there is some residential there, it's a very consolidated typology, and so thinking about diversifying those housing choices, really thinking about a couple of public investments and connections that would establish a new park along the drainage corridor, and then a series of streetscape connections that would better connect the Downtown East neighborhood to Mid-City and the Government Street corridor. This is really an opportunity to think about places for family, think about infill housing that would bring a new type of population to downtown, and again, diversify the people that call this place home. And then on to the riverfront. We have a series of character areas for the riverfront. The first being the most northern portion of this near the casino. There's an incredible underutilized parcel of land there that we believe is a prime location for a youth sports tourism complex that would provide recreational assets along the riverfront and really position downtown Baton Rouge to capture a major economic driver in youth sports tourism. There's also an incredible opportunity to think about a partnership with the casino itself, and instead of seeing a sea of surface parking along our river, rather a mixed-use entertainment hub that could work in concert with there, providing new housing, new jobs, and new retail proximate to the capital. This would create a true kind of one-of-a-kind riverfront destination that would really position Baton Rouge to say that we are a river city and we're here and welcome to the neighborhood. In the middle of downtown, what we're calling the Riverwalk Loop is an opportunity to reposition some of the vacant surface parking lots that exist there today, establishing a new public space with sweeping views of the river and connectivity across the train tracks, across the levee, and onto the levee walk itself, really stitching 3rd Street once and for all to the riverfront and establishing a strong connection in the core of downtown between the Shaw Center Plaza and this new redevelopment opportunity. We've also had conversations with the USS Kidd around relocation of that and expansion of the city dock to provide a new home for the Kidd that allows the boat to sit in water, and then a partnership opportunity on the surface lot behind the LASM for a joint facility that would provide space for the Kidd Museum, but also expansion opportunities for LASM. Again, further stitching the incredible results of Plan Baton Rouge 2 in the Shaw Center to the riverfront itself. You can imagine this as a place for people to stroll along the riverfront in the comfort of shade, porch swings out overlooking the river, really creating a place for people to truly celebrate being a river city. We've seen this in a lot of our work around the country. Cities that are reinvesting in their riverfront are thriving economically. It's because people love living next to the water. They like seeing the water. And so if we can invest in that access, we can see economic return. And then the last character area, what we're calling the South Riverfront, really is trying to expand the potential impact that reinvestment in the river center could have by thinking about a series of public space and public infrastructure upgrades that would really position that area as more than just a place for tourists, but a place for people. So we've thought about repositioning the park space that sits out front of the LASM from the kind of passive environment that it is today to an iconic children's destination, a playscape that would really activate that place and bring people from all across the parish and beyond. Additionally, we've had many conversations with the casino around repositioning of that waterfront without the need for that new dock that collapsed. There's a real opportunity to think about the bachelor land that exists there as expanding the park space and creating a true sort of riverfront green that would serve as a front door for new residential investment that takes place along the surface lots that exist along River Road today. Really seeing this as a sort of front porch or front door kind of environment that is both positioned to support tourism and activation, but also, and I want to stress this, bring families downtown just to be. This is a real opportunity to think about that. And so as I wrap up here today, I just want to stress that this framework plan really lays out a bold yet implementable vision that could be thought of, over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, just like the previous plan Baton Rouge 1 and 2 have done, providing incredible opportunities for public investment, private reinvestment, and quality of life infrastructure in and around downtown. The vision lays out, I think, what is an authentic approach to downtown that is uniquely Baton Rouge, one that repositions Baton Rouge as a river city, one that takes advantage of the incredible assets that exist there today, and one that positions downtown, again, as part of a broader constellation of improvements within the downtown, or within the broader context of the city. And so that is where we are today in terms of the kind of bold vision. And as Eric mentioned, right now we are rolling up our sleeves and talking about implementation. We spent the entire morning working with the stakeholders to really think about a phasing strategy, think about funding mechanisms, and thinking about policy that can help implement the sort of framework that I've laid out today. And over the next couple of months, we'll be wrapping up the plan, writing the implementation framework, and then handing that over as a final deliverable that will be coming back to present to you all for adoption. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you. All right.
If there are no questions, Joshua, I want to thank you again for that very informative presentation. Eric, thank you for your remarks as well. We certainly appreciate the effort that's gone into this important work. Look forward to seeing the plan move forward. That includes a full review and anticipated adoption by this Planning Commission and by the Metro Council early next year. So thanks again.
All right.
Oh,
Thank
we
you
have
all.
one question
Josh,
from Commissioner
Tell
Coleman.
me about, I heard you talk about all of this, but talk about where the convention center and the convention hotel works with all of this.
Sure. So we've been working hand in hand with that team, both the consultants that have been hired as well as Visit Baton Rouge and BRAF to understand how that fits into this broader vision. I would say that this plan clearly positions the Convention Center Hotel expansion and the redo of the Convention Center itself as a very important node. And so the scope of our team is to really look at the improvements around that area and how we can ensure that that type of investment is bolstered and supported through other improvements. Any other questions?
If not, thanks again.
Thank you for your time.
At this time, we'll take a very short break and reconvene at 5 p.m. for the regular scheduled Planning Commission meeting.
Hold on 1 second, 1 second, 1 second.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, we will have the roll call. Director Holcomb.
Chairman Washington.
Here.
Vice Chairman Grout. Here. Commissioner Addison. Commissioner Boyd. Here. Commissioner Brunell.
Here.
Commissioner Coleman.
Present.
Commissioner Ellender.
Here.
Commissioner Fowler. Here. And Commissioner Scruggs. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. At this time, we'll move on to the next item, special recognition, and I would like to take a moment to recognize one of our commissioners, Laura Brownell, for her 32 years of service with the city of Baton Rouge and her 1.5 years of service on this planning commission. On behalf of the planning commission, we would like to present you with this plaque. It's pretty, right? It says, "In appreciation for service, dedication, and understanding, providing a contribution to improve the quality of life through planning with a sensitivity to the natural and man-made environments." Congratulations, Laura. Before moving on, I would like to invite Rachel Lambert to share a few remarks on behalf of the city parish. Rachel?
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Sid Edwards, who also has a certificate of commendation for Laura Brownell for her 32 years of service. Her contributions reflect a deep love for public service, and we extend our heartfelt appreciation for the kindness, dedication, and exceptional impact that you have shared throughout your career here. So thank you for your 32, and we're going to miss you so much.
Thank you, Rachel, and congratulations again, Laura. We certainly hope you enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. At this time, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the October 20th meeting? Motion by Commissioner Addison, second by Commissioner Ellender. Are there any objections to approving the minutes? Seeing none, those items have been approved, and at this time, I will ask the Vice Chairman to read in the rules for conducting the public hearing.
Rules for conducting public hearing. This is a public meeting. Any interested member of the public who wishes to comment on an item from this agenda may comment in person at City Hall, 222 St. Louis Street, 3rd floor, room 348, during the meeting. Members of the public desiring to speak on a particular item should refer to a meeting agenda and complete necessary information prior to the meeting by filling out a request to speak card indicating which item you would like to speak and place it in the designated location prior to the meeting. Applicant and applicant's representatives for the proposal will speak first for a total or combined period of not exceeding 15 minutes. Proponents will speak and then the opponents. Each speaker will not be allowed more than 3 minutes. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks by avoiding duplication in their presentations. Applicant will be allowed a total of 5 minutes for rebuttal. Opponents will not be allowed to rebut. Items placed on the consent agenda by the Planning Commission staff will not have time allocated for speaking unless there is a member of the public at the meeting who wishes to speak on the item. In such cases, the proposal will follow the standard procedure. Mr. Chairman. You're up.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Grout. We can now move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Baldwin.
Consent items for deferral. Item 17, CS 1225, Ira W. Dearman Tract, 3549 Greenville Springs Road, proposed flag lot minor subdivision located on the west side of Greenville Springs Road, south of Lake Black Lawn Avenue. Deferred by the Planning Director to December 15th. Item 19, SS 325, AT Bryce Property, 19190 Plank Road, proposed residential subdivision with a private street located on the east side of Plank Road, north of Carlton Road, deferred by the Planning Director to December 15th. Consent items for approval. Item 5, case 4125, 4232 North Boulevard, to rezone from transition B1 to limited residential A3.1 on property located on the south side of North Boulevard, west of Ray Street. Item 6, case 4225, 124 West Chime Street, to rezone from heavy commercial C2 to commercial alcoholic beverage bar and lounge CAB2 on property located on the north side of West Chime Street, west of Highland Road. Item 9, case 4525, 8020, 8022, 8030, 8032, 8040, and 8042 Ned Avenue, to rezone from rural to limited residential A3.1 on property located on the south side of Ned Avenue, east of Helm Drive. Item 10, case 4725, 4466 American Way, to rezone from light commercial C1 and heavy commercial C2 to light commercial 2, LC2, on property located on the north side of American Way, east of Coursey Boulevard. Item 11, case 4825, 16270 Old Hammond Highway, to rezone from rural to neighborhood commercial NC on property located on the south side of Old Hammond Highway, east of O'Neill Lane. Item 13, case 5025, 800 to 900 South Kenilworth Parkway, to rezone from rural to townhouse A2.5 on property located on the south side of South Kenilworth Parkway, west of Burbank Drive. Item 14, PUD 323, suburb South Baton Rouge, final development plan. Proposed final development plan for a low-density residential and medium-density units on property located on the east side of Nicholson Drive, north of Magnolia Mountain. Item 15, PUD 124, Nicholson West, final development plan. Proposed final development plan for a high-density multifamily residential and commercial office uses on property located on the west side of Nicholson Drive, north of West Johnson Street. Item 16, S325, Stillwater, proposed major residential subdivision with public streets located on the north side of Comeet Drive, east of Plank Road. Item 18, CS 1325, Segan Park Mall, 10303 South Mall Drive, proposed flag lot minor subdivision located on the north side of South Mall Drive, east of Andrea Drive.
Mr. Chairman, we've had a request to pull items 14, 15, and 16 from the consent agenda to be heard in regular agenda order. That's PUD 323 Suburb South Baton Rouge Final Development Plan, PUD 124 Nicholson West Final Development Plan, and item 16, S325 Stillwater Major Subdivision. Those three items will be pulled from the consent agenda and heard in the regular agenda order.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. Commission members, you've heard the items that are currently on, that remain on consent to be approved with one vote. Are there any members of the commission that wish to pull any additional items? Seeing none, are there any members of the public that wish to pull any additional items from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve? Motion from Commissioner Boyd, second from Vice Chairman Grout. Any objections? Seeing none, those items have been approved, and we'll move on to the regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman, the next two items may be taken together. Item 2, PA 625, and item 3, zoning case 4625, may be taken together.
Thank you.
PA 625-8644 Greenwell Springs Road, related to case 4625. Property is located on the south side of Greenwell Springs Road, west of Joyce Drive, Council District 6, Dunn Jr. The applicant is Timothy Dunn Sr. The current future BR land use designation is residential neighborhood commercial. The requested future BR land use designation is compact neighborhood. The existing zoning is light commercial C1 and single family residential A1 with a requested zoning of light commercial 1 LC1. PA 625-8644 Greenwell Springs Road, related to case 4625.
Staff recommends approval of the plan use amendment based upon examination of the area at a further level of detail and compatibility with surrounding uses. Staff also certifies the proposed request meets the criteria for a change of zoning if the companion comprehensive plan amendment is approved, being compatible with surrounding uses and conforming to Unified Development Code requirements.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. I would like to take a second to let the applicant and those that filled out speaker cards know that we have not received any opposition for these items. So I want to let you know that prior to your presentation.
Okay, great. Good evening. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity to come speak on the behalf of Abundant Life Christian Center. My name is Pastor Timothy Tremaine Dunn. I'm the pastor of the church right there on Greenwell Springs Road, where our vision is building godly families one soul at a time, teaching them to live in faith every day. Where this property is where we've been located right across the street, maybe 150 yards for the last 13 years. So we're not a new ministry coming into the area. We're a ministry that's already been there doing work in the ministry, in the area, and those people in the area are familiar with the work that we've done and the work that we continue to do. So our plan is to actually build a ministry there, build a church there, where we would actually have enough room to facilitate mentorship programs, food pantries, and things that we need to do that our current space won't allow for us to do. And so this is the reason why we've pursuing this property and pursuing permission to build this facility there, which would be approximately 10,000 square feet. We definitely will continue to do the work that we've been doing for the past 13 years in that community. I believe that the way you gauge the importance of a church or ministry or anything, for that matter, is if that place or that community pack up their bags and leave, will the people in the community feel the impact? And we believe that if we were to leave or go somewhere else, the people in that area would miss us. We have activities throughout the year for the community, for the children, for the youth, to try to combat some of the things that we see happening in our city week in and week out. So again, we appreciate it, and we're here to answer any questions that we have, the information to answer at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we have about 15 or so speaker cards that are in support of this, none in opposition. If those that filled out speaker cards would still like to speak, you're certainly welcome to do that. Raise your hand if you feel like you'd still like to speak. Okay. Well, with that, we have at least one person, so I'll begin with Shamika Dunn.
The person who agreed, I think, is Minister Aletha Franklin.
Okay, she can come forward.
Yep. Did you fill out a card? Yes. Thank you.
You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And I won't duplicate anything that he has said about what we've done for the community. I just want to say that I believe that us building this church would be able to change more lives. I know what the ministry has done for me in my time with this church. I've known Pastor Dunn and Lady Shamika Dunn for over 18 years, and my life changed tremendously. So I think people like New, and it will draw more people to that location, and their lives will be changed for the better, not just for what we can do physically, but spiritually also.
Thank you. You can come forward, ma'am. You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Carol Bell, and I live right on the other side of the fence where the property is located. And I'm all for the church, but I do have some concerns about the entrance of the church because the red light is right here by my street, Joyce Drive, and the property is like right here, and it's real close to the light. So my concern is if it's gonna cause a traffic jam. And when we came in, we did speak with the pastor about some suggestions where that traffic won't build up and cause wrecks because it's like right there. And I am for what he is trying to do for the community. And I just want to make sure that it's not a traffic jam and it's not going to cause us any problems getting in and out. And also, I want to make sure that there is a wall barrier because it is so close. It's like I can just put my leg across the fence and the property's there. So I just want to make sure that there is a sound barrier or some type of wall where we can still kind of have a little peace, you know. I know the church is going to be loud. I'm a church member at my own church, and I know how we get sometimes. So that's a little bit of my concern. There's a house on the corner, and then my house is there's a second house on the corner from the light. And my suggestion to the pastor was maybe to make the entrance from the light side, because if not, it's going to be a traffic jam. So I'm pretty sure he will address that, but I did want to make sure that it was in the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
you. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak before closing the public hearing? Okay. At this time, I'll close the public hearing and ask Director Holcomb to maybe speak to some of the points raised by the previous speaker.
So certainly, Mr. Chairman, right now, we're on an early preliminary stage. This is the first step on potential rezoning to allow a church or religious institution by right. This item will go on to the Metropolitan Council next month for final zoning approval. But as far as the detailed site layout, design, and permitting, I can assure you that access is something that's taken very seriously. Greenville Springs is a state route. The state will have a say-so regarding safety and driveway access. Additional permits will be reviewed by traffic engineers and professional permitting review. There is a buffer yard required where non-residential uses directly abut single-family residential uses, so some sort of combination of landscape and/or fencing. If it doesn't exist today, it will be required as part of that plan permitting requirement.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. Are there any questions or comments or motions from the commission? Vice Chairman Grout? Commissioner Coleman?
Yes, just want to say that I always reach out to the council person in that district, and we had a conversation. I understand that a community meeting was held. They canvassed the adjacent neighborhood. I understand that the councilman's team also kind of canvassed the neighborhood to get feedback from the residents, and no opposition at this time. So I make the motion that we move it on to the council.
There's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Coleman to approve these two items. I believe that motion receives a second from Vice Chairman Grout. Are there any objections? Any further discussion? Seeing none, those items have been approved.
Mr. Chairman, we can now move on to item 4, TA 225. This is a text amendment to Chapter 18, Landscape and Trees, the Unified Development Code amendment to revise this chapter to modify regulations associated to what we just spoke to buffer yards, street yards, screening, and tree preservation. The planning department worked closely with the building officials office, the city parish landscape and forestry staff, and also the downtown development district staff on this revision and rewrite of chapter 18. This amendment adjusts tables in chapter 18 buffer standards related to transitions between similar and what are deemed incompatible land uses to ensure there are adequate buffers that exist or will exist after development. Table 18D, planting requirements and buffers, was updated to increase the number of shrubs required in what are called L2 and L3 buffers for 2 continuous rows of shrubs where a fence, wall, or berm is not installed. Street yard planting regulations were revised to improve screening of parking areas where adjacent to streets. Parking areas located in urban walkable and downtown character areas were revised to now require parking islands with landscaping on large parking lots of 50 or more parking spaces. Added requirements for screening of dumpsters and trash areas with additional shrubs when enclosures are visible from the streets were added. A minimum tree preservation or mitigation of significant trees was added for land clearing when over 5 acres. The proposed language was provided to the Federation of Greater Baton Rouge Civic Associations early for review and also distributed to the Baton Rouge Growth Coalition, who distributed it to a group of landscape architects. All reviewed the draft and had no objections. Planning Commission staff certifies that the proposed rewrite and UDC update to this chapter is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. Do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We do not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There'll then be no need for a public hearing. So at this time, I'll invite questions, comments, or motions from the Planning Commission. I believe we have a motion to approve this item from Commissioner Scroggs, second from Commissioner Ellender. Do we have any objections or need for additional discussion? Seeing none, this item has been approved, and we can now move on to item number 7, case 4325-2401 Florida Street.
Case 4325-2401 Florida Street. Property is located on the north side of Florida Street, east of North 24th Street, Council District 10, Coleman. The applicant is Tammy Prater. Future BR land use designation is mixed use. The existing zoning is heavy commercial C2 with a requested zoning of commercial alcohol beverage, bar and lounge, CAB2. Case 4325-2401 Florida Street.
Staff certifies that the proposed request meets the criteria for a change of zoning, being consistent with the comprehensive plan, compatible with surrounding uses, and conforming to Unified Development Code requirements.
We've received 2 messages in opposition to this item.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Chris Maxwell, and Miss Tammy Prater has asked that I read her letter to the commission. She owns a daycare center and is caring for an infant right now. So I will read her, with your permission, I'll read her letter. Sure. It says, first of all, that she is, Tammy Prater is giving Chris Maxwell permission to read her letter on her behalf, and attention to Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. First, I would like to thank, these are her words. First, I would like to thank the Planning Commission for considering the rezoning of the above location. Below, I will explain my future vision for the location. The name of the establishment will be Serenity Escape Bar and Lounge. The name was created to provide exactly what's read. Serenity, meaning calm, peaceful, and untroubled, and escape, to break free from the confinement of daily working. My plans are to create an adult environment, bar and lounge, for the age group 35 and up. The establishment will provide a new social venue, enrich the area's hospitality culture, and offer residents a local option for entertainment, which helps a community attract and retain residents and tourists. The establishment will create jobs generating sales for the local government. At the establishment, there will be proper parking, proper security, including a police officer, to secure the managing outdoor areas, enforcing closing times that align with local ordinances to ensure patrons leave quietly and safely. The exterior of the establishment will be maintained on a regular basis. Example, grass upkeep, making sure trash is not on the outside of the building. I plan to offer a variety of music, for example, R&B, blues, jazz, Zydeco, and oldies music, 80s and 90s, etc. A pool table room, a stage to be utilized for special birthday celebrations, and to host a few live bands. Everything about the venue will be different, even the painting on the wall. I would like to reassure you that the plans are to create a relaxing, calm, safe, fun, and exciting lounge and not a club. And she underlines not a club. So I pray enough information was provided to grant the rezoning for 2401 Florida Boulevard, Baton Rouge 70802. I look forward to receiving the verdict. Thanking you in advance, Ms. Tammy Prater. I am the reason she asked me to read this was because I'm the owner of the property that is leasing it to her. And I wanted to thank the City Planning Commission for allotting me this time to speak regarding the application for zoning variance. My name is Chris Maxwell, and my wife and I own the property that Ms. Tammy Prater seeks to rezone. Our building is located at 2401 Florida Street in District 10. We seek to rezone our property from heavy commercial C2 to commercial alcoholic beverage CAB2. Our building is a small cinder block structure. The previous owner told me it was built in the late 40s by the returning World War II soldiers. The building was in a friend's family for decades before my wife and I bought it 18 years ago. It housed a couple of bars in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. In the 80s, it was called JC's and hosted music shows including the Red Hot Chili Peppers. By the 90s, its owner, Lily Mae Tranchina, operated it as a neighborhood bar until her passing in 2007. Since that time, the building has housed a 501c3 nonprofit business that my wife and I ran until our retirement. We hosted small folk music shows. Upon our closing, we were approached by Ms. Prater to lease the property for her project, the Serenity Escape Bar and Lounge. Since the building had spent most of its life with just such a purpose, we assumed it was zoned for such a business. Apparently, so did the real estate agent. Upon learning otherwise, Ms. Prater began this process of seeking rezoning. She did so in her spare time from her regular business, the Unique Care Learning Center, a daycare center located on North Acadian. I feel Ms. Prater's project is worthwhile to the area that really needs more businesses. Empty commercial buildings are somewhat common in our area. We've had a great track record taking care of the property for the past 18 years. I know this because I personally have mowed the lawn and helped my sons paint and repair the building. I've also mowed the adjacent property, formerly AAA Locksmith, for most of that period. 2 strokes and a knee replacement recently sent me into semi-retirement, and we accepted Ms. Prater's offer to lease the building. Ms. Prater is already an asset to our area, as her daycare center is less than a mile from our building. She has been a business owner with a stellar reputation, and I hope the council will consider our mutual request favorably. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We have 3 speaker cards that are in opposition to this item. 2 wish to speak. The first is for for Michael Wicker. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Apostle Mike Wicker. Reside at 337 North 25th Street. That property backs right into adjacent to my property. I do want to thank Mr. Maxwell, I believe it is, that over the last several years that the Red Dragon Listening Room has been there. You know, we never heard them. Even though they was there, they was never heard anything outside. It was always a concern that, because they wasn't open every day, they wasn't open every weekend, but they had certain things. So I appreciate the the friendlies, but when they had this issue come up, we wasn't approached in the neighborhood about anything that was going on. We just happened to see the notice. But I have been in the neighborhood for the last 29 years, and for the last 25 years, we've made sure that, with all of the traffic that happens, that used to happen with the drop-in center and the former clubs that were there in the neighborhood, around the neighborhood, they had an oversaturation at one period of too many liquor outlets in that particular area that was causing extenuating problems, from Club Derringers that used to be there down to club that turned into club upscale. The neighborhood always experienced heavy problems with traffic in and out of the neighborhood, all of those things. And so when those liquor outlets, that oversaturation of liquid outlets shut down, we were happy to see that happen. We are adamantly against a new liquor outlet, this zoning being changed happening at this particular time because of extensive homeless traffic that's coming in and up and down the streets from the drop-in center to downtown at St. Vincent de Paul. We've worked a lot with Compass trying to get, people's situations changed and really changing the neighborhood. We would appreciate more business on the north side of Florida Boulevard. We would appreciate other things other than liquor stores and pawn shops that would help affect the property values of those neighborhoods. And I appreciate y'all time in denying this request for this outlet to be changed.
Thank you. The next card is for Tara Wicker.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and good evening, and thank you all so much for your service. We really appreciate all that you do. Just wanted to have a little conversation really quickly in regards to the history. Mike mentioned that we've lived there for 29 years. I've actually been there since I was 5 years old. So I grew up in this neighborhood. My mom and dad gave us the house that we currently live in and have raised all of our children in. We chose to live in this neighborhood. My husband's a country boy, and he allowed me to stay in the city and do city things with where we live. But I will tell you this: we have worked really hard throughout the years. We did a moratorium many years ago. This area was part of a moratorium just so that we can have an opportunity to study the oversaturation of liquor outlets in these communities. At one point in time, literally, we had 9 liquor outlets in a 1 mile radius area in this particular community. So we fought really hard. Many times we remember at one point when Derringers was on the corner, it is now a tire shop, not the best thing, but we don't have the club. They literally shut the street down. We could not get out of our homes. They put a screen up, a live screen on top of the building, and they were running cars all throughout the neighborhood at 2 o'clock in the morning, watching movies and playing games and playing music from the club that was there. So we have lived through this for years and years and years. We are raising our children there. We are just asking that you please consider the fact that we are trying to bring this neighborhood back from the brink. It is literally around the corner from Sacred Heart Church and school. I can look down at this property from my bedroom window. My grandbaby's room is literally right at the back of where this property is. We've been working actively with the DPW department to revise our plans. We renovated a house that we bought next door that my grandchild and his my son and his new wife is going to live in. My grandbaby's bedroom is literally at the back. So while we appreciate economic opportunity, we really think that this community deserves more than oversaturation yet again of liquor stores. There's so many opportunities and so many things that we can do in a much better manner than to have another a CAB2 that is listed there. In addition to that, in my final moments, that I would say, if you drive 1 block away to the left, there's another club that is there that is right on the corner. So when I say oversaturation, it is everywhere. If you pull up right now that area on the internet, you will see, unfortunately, we are famous across the country of individuals that are homeless individuals and individuals that are inundated with alcohol and intoxicated, dancing naked in the street. My daughter's here. She had to have a woman that ran up to her car butt naked. And so this is what we live with on a daily basis. We choose to do that because we believe in bringing this community back from the brink, and I appreciate you please denying this request. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one additional caller for Taya Wicker, but she has indicated that she does not wish to speak. At this time, I'll invite the applicant back to the podium for a 5-minute rebuttal.
Well, I sympathize with the folks who have had bad experiences there. I've only been there for just over 18 years. I bought the property at the upon the death of Miss Lily Mae Tranchina, who owned the previous, and I've had none of the problems that that the neighborhood is indicating here in the time that we've been there. In fact, in the entire time we were there, 18 years of putting on 1,218 folk music shows, which is how many we've done, we had somebody who parked out on the street have a tablet taken out of the front seat of their car. Other than that, we've never had a single problem with anything in the neighborhood, other than a patron who once knocked down our gate because he locked his car in our backyard. I guess that's the entire level of the problems that we've had there in 18 years and over 1,200 shows. So I'll just leave it at that and hope that the council finds in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission members, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and invite any questions or comments from the commission. Commissioner Coleman.
Yep. And so you mentioned, you mentioned about these 1,200 shows in 18 years. And when did that stop? That was not recently, am I correct?
That was 5 months ago. We stopped a week prior to me having a knee replacement surgery.
Okay, do you live nearby?
I do not. I live over off of Bluebonnet Road.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I've gotten some calls regarding the noise and all of the things that the constituents alluded to, and which are of concern, would be concern in my neighborhood if that was the place. And then with the church, even some of the folk from the church there at Sacred Heart having a concern about this. But bigger than that, I hadn't heard from anybody on the opposite side. For instance, you or Ms. Prater or anyone having a conversation regarding what the intent of that over here. And so I know exactly where this is, and I know exactly all of the other stuff that have gone on. But as we stand here now, the opposite of what was going on is definitely there now. And so I am motioning to deny this.
There's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Coleman to deny this item. Is there a second to that motion? Second from Vice Chairman Grout. Are there any objections? Any additional discussion? Seeing none, that item is denied.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to item number 8, case 4425-4760 Perkins Road.
Case 4425-4760 Perkins Road. Property is located on the south side of Perkins Road.
Good evening,
west of
council
Vasco
members.
Avenue.
Thank you for giving me the
Council District
opportunity to
12.
speak today.
Please
Oh.
please hold a moment.
Okay, sorry.
The applicant is Stephanie Johnson. Future BR land use designation is residential neighborhood. The existing zoning is single-family residential, A1, with a requested zoning of neighborhood commercial, NC. Case 4425-4760 Perkins Road.
Staff cannot certify the requested change of zoning. While it conforms to UDC requirements, it is not consistent with the comprehensive plan provisions calling for the preservation of neighborhood character, as the property is located mid-block, introducing a commercial use between residential properties.
The Planning Commission office has received 40 messages in support of this item, but has received 143 messages in opposition. And we've received a letter of official opposition from the Southside Civic Association. And also, for the record, Councilwoman Rocca is opposed to this item.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. You can proceed, Ms. Johnson.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Stephanie Johnson. I currently live on Highland Road. I'm here to share my family's vision for a property that has been in our family for over 30 years. We have watched our neighborhood and grow and evolve over the last few years. Transformation has been remarkable, with a wide range of businesses and services now operating on both sides of the street. Our property is the second house from the corner, and the second house, and aside from our home, there are only 4 other residential houses on our side of the street. Just 4 doors down on the right is the only Sprouts grocery store in Louisiana, and along both directions are restaurants and various small businesses that have become a part of our community. Our vision is to open a meditation and yoga studio, a calm, welcoming space dedicated to spiritual health, wellness, mindfulness. We plan to offer small classes with 1 to 4 people. This ensures that the environment will remain peaceful, and it allows us to provide personal attention to each participant. That studio would close at 8 p.m. each evening. We believe this studio will be a natural fit for the area. It won't create additional traffic, noise, or congestion. In fact, because the very essence of yoga and meditation is tranquility, the use of the property will be quieter than many everyday residential activities. We also have ample on-site parking, which means we will not burden our neighbors. One of the most important aspects of this journey has been engaging with our community. We have spent a significant time speaking with neighbors and local residents, sharing our plans, and we have received an abundance of positive feedback, encouragement, and support. Many people expressed their excitement about having a wellness-focused space nearby, something that aligns with growth and character of the neighborhood. We are requesting neighborhood commercial zoning because we were informed that it is a soft zoning category and well-suited for the type of small, low-impact business we are trying to propose. Our family has decided not to lease the property, but instead, we want to use it in a way that allows us to contribute to the community's spiritual health, well-being, and sense of connection. We see this as not just a business, but a dream, one that reflects our values and our long-standing ties to Baton Rouge. We will not be making any major changes to the structure or the appearance of the property. Our goal is to simply maintain its beauty and use it for a purpose that enhances the neighborhood rather than alters it, with a focus on serenity, respect, and community wellness. We hope to be a positive addition to the area and a resource that neighbors and others can enjoy. Thank you again for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have to provide any additional information that will assist in your decision. We truly hope that you will support our vision and allow us the opportunity to build our dream business and help people. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 1 speaker cord that is in favor for Doreen Johnson. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Doreen Johnson. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, and I live on Highland Road. And yes, I am a family member and a part of this small business venture. Thank you all for letting me speak on this today. I'd like all of you to know that I've also done a lot of work on our vision for our small business, going door to door, talking to our neighbors, talking to our community and meeting with our Councilwoman Raka, getting their feedback. And we have gotten wonderful feedback and support, especially from women in our neighborhood and our community. Men have supported it too. Yoga is for everyone. It has helped me so much in my life. In 2023, UCLA did a study that meditation and yoga, that it actually helps and prevents Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease affects more women in the United States than men. And with all due respect, we are aware that some people in our community want to keep South Side of Perkins Road residential. But we all know it's far from just residential, with just 4 houses left on our block. Many businesses on the left and on the right of us, restaurants, supermarkets, so on and so on. Do we wish that cities could stay the same? That streets don't change? Maybe. But cities grow, streets change. Time is something that just doesn't stand still. So please vote yes and give us a chance to see our business come true.
Thank you. We have several cores that are in opposition. The first is for Dr. William Gladney. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Dr. William Gladney, president of the Southside Civic Association. It's been a little while since I've been at the Planning Commission to speak, but I've certainly been up here numerous times over the last 30 years. And what I would like to point out is that, of course, our Civic Association has been known to be active for decades. One of our main priorities for 40 years has been to manage growth on Perkins Road, and I recognize that that is a major mixed-use corridor, no question about that, but with traffic intersections, et cetera. But if you look at where we stand with Southside, this property is at one corner of a chessboard. The other corner goes all the way to Ferndale, and that's 13 blocks. Out of 13 blocks from Ferndale to Bruzan, there's one block that has commercial on the south side. Now that might amaze you, and that is not manna that fell from heaven. That's been 30 years of carefully working with Planning Commission, Metro Council, neighbors, and business people to try to run a balancing act for us. The north side of Perkins is commercial, but more than that, we have frequently partnered with our business partners, and Mr. Holcomb certainly knows of some examples with commercial properties, and Connolly, Donnie Gyro with Southtown Shopping Center, John Clater. When our business partners needed some help, we would not only work with them, we would come down here and speak for them. On the south side, we've tried to maintain A1, and people may get tired of hearing that, but we have been agreeable to other A1 configurations, and on numerous occasions have reconfigured A1. And just to go down, I know the map probably better than y'all because y'all have so many other things to look at, but if you look at 13 blocks south side of Perkins, one block has commercial, and that's it. But the A1s are up to 9 blocks of A1, but we have A2s, Idle Oaks, South Downs Gardens as a spud, Perkins Lanes as a spud, Southside Gardens adjacent to this block is an assisted living. Those are all residential. So these look like wonderful people, and I'm sure they could run a wonderful business. And I'm sorry to stand in their way, but as we have negotiated with Ruzan, which we have done, Ruzan has gone from being acrimonious to, with the new owners, John Inquist and Charles Landry, we have negotiated a number of times to give them some other commercial and residential to their side. I'm watching my clock run down. Don't worry, I'll write the book. Y'all can read it. It's going to be a bestseller. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next card is for Chris Kissling. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Chris Kissling. I live at 1231 Stewart Avenue, just a few blocks from the parcel in question. My understanding is that the property is just one of a number of property assets that the owner, the applicant, has. Clearly, they have resources, and there are ample other sites that are available and would be good for the purpose that they are pursuing in order to create this vision, this dream. It's just that this property is convenient. Most of the houses in our neighborhood represent the single biggest investment of the family that owns it, maybe the biggest investment of their lifetime. For those families, it's not just a question of convenience, it's a question of commitment. It's the foundation for a life. So I encourage you, please don't begin the process of eroding the value of those families' stake in our neighborhood and the city by chipping away at the integrity of the surroundings. Experience has shown us that they'll just start falling like dominoes. This business closes, what opens in its place? Business, especially small business, is the economic lifeblood of a city. But livable, cohesive neighborhoods that are welcoming and safe for families are also wonderful. They are the heart of a city. So I urge you to prioritize the needs of our neighbors and their families and their commitment to this area and the city over the convenience of the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Camille Lindsay. You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Camille Lindsay. I reside at Sweetbriar Street in the South Downs neighborhood, and I manage multiple properties, rental properties in that neighborhood. I have been on the Southside Civic Association board for 2 years, and we've always maintained our stance on wanting to keep the south side of Perkins residential. This rezoning of this property goes against future BR's want of maintaining and preserving the characteristics of existing neighborhoods and keeping them a desirable place that people want to live. As Dr. Gladney said, we're not against working with commercial development along the north side, but it's the south side that we are really hoping y'all will help us preserve today. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Carol Brown.
Hi, I'm Caroline Brown, 3912 Hyacinth Avenue, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I just love what y'all do because, you know, we need to do this together and we need to do the process. Now, let me tell you, Susan Johnson applied for this, but a Mrs. Fan is the owner of the property. I will tell you that it's historically residential, that it has been designated residential by the Comprehensive Master Plan, that it would be against move EBR and the traffic because it would be putting something in where the traffic is all residential on that side of Perkins Road. And really, truly, I doubt if the property could satisfy the requirements for neighborhood commercial. And let me tell you, these people started calling us in May. And there was somebody that called and said, I need to talk to you about the Civic Association. The Planning Commission has said we need to talk with you. I know that the owner of the property has a seamstress business in a neighborhood off of Highland Road. But she finally got the people out because they were doing garage sales, and she wants to do something else with it. I said, we'll talk to them. You know, the board called. I called him back and said, we would love to work with you, but understand our position is residential on the south side of Perkins Road. That lady was okay. Then I got a call from Ms. Fan. I said the same thing over again. She kept saying, no, I need this. I need to have signs out.
You have
Kept
about 40
saying no.
seconds, ma'am.
And so that's all for me today.
Oh, you have 40 seconds. You have 30-something seconds left. Yes, ma'am. I was just
Okay.
letting you know.
So if they want to have this, they can go right over across the street to Roseanne Traditional Neighborhood Development, and they have a whole lot of retail ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next court is for Kelsey Short. You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Kelsey Short. I live on Jolly Drive, one of the neighborhoods adjacent to the property that we're discussing. I enjoy yoga, although as I get older, I have a harder time getting up from a downward dog pose. And regretfully, I am here to speak in opposition of the property. I travel frequently on Perkins Road in Glasgow, and I think it was busy before Roseanne, and it's getting even more heavily congested now. It's been mentioned, most of the south side is residential on Perkins, and there's a real fear for most of the people in the neighborhood that there'll be a domino effect if you allow this one property, that slowly the entire south side will turn commercial. And as was pointed out, the master plan calls for this area to be residential, and the staff recommendations, as you've read, point to the inconsistencies with the plan, which cite preserve the character of the established residential neighborhoods by ensuring that new development complements the neighborhood's characteristics. And secondly, it's inconsistent because the plan calls for ensuring appropriate transitions between non-residential uses and neighborhoods to protect stability and quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last speaker card is for Sal Christina. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Thank y'all. I don't know if there's much more to say after everyone else has spoken. I think most of the points have been made. I've lived in the neighborhood now for around 20 years, and I think it is just important to keep the south side residential. If you look at Perkins Road, on the north side, it's all business. Then Roseanne came in, and it's mixed, and it's been a good workforce in the neighborhood. But as soon as you let one more on the south side change to commercial, what happens if they sell that property? What happens if the house next door to them sells and now someone else wants to open up a business? And like they said, other speakers have said, there's just the potential of that domino effect. And the whole south side, which is the edge of our neighborhood, the border, the first thing you see when you come into our neighborhood and our homes will no longer be the homes. It changes the whole landscape of the south side area and that neighborhood. And so I'd ask for y'all to oppose this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll invite the applicant back for a 5-minute rebuttal.
Hello, thank you, Council. I understand everybody's concerns about the property. What I want to address is that, yes, we have leased the property in the past, but we don't have further plans on leasing this property again. We are the owners. We have been the owners for 30 years. And being that we have been there for so long, we do have a dream and a vision that we feel we want to bring to life. And it's going to be a very small business. So I understand the concerns of traffic and change, but the reality is there is businesses all around, and there's only a very small number of houses left. So with that being said, we can assure that because it's going to be one-on-one sessions, possibly 2 to 3 people in each class, there will not be a traffic congestion. It is going to be simply for relaxation, for meditation, yoga, and for women in our community and men to have somewhere they can feel comfortable and do yoga and meditation. So we definitely are not going to contribute to traffic or noise or anything like that. Our vision is to keep it simple and peaceful and quiet, and since we are the owners, we don't plan on selling anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission members, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and invite any questions or comments from the commission. While the commissioners gather their thoughts, I'll ask Director Holcomb. The request is to rezone this property to neighborhood commercial. What is the most intensive use that could be used under that designation?
So neighborhood commercial is a very small scale, neighborhood scale, retail and commercial service zoning district. It limits retail and commercial businesses to 2,500 square feet. They could expand, there is a pathway to expand up to 5,000 square feet with a separate conditional use permit process that would have to come back to this body. Although it does allow gyms, small health clubs, and personal service shops, such as the applicant is asking for, it also allows more non-desirable uses, such as liquor stores, vape stores, tattoo parlors, etc. It's some of these undesirable uses that the same neighborhood has consistently come before this body asking to stop and prevent. Unfortunately, we do not have a zoning district that would allow what the applicant is asking for and also prevent those undesirable uses that could go in there. And as this body knows, once you rezone the property, it is rezoned to that new zoning category forever. The only other planning tool we have available would be an infill small plan use development. There's significant cost that has to go into that. There's a detailed site plan. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a good fit in this particular area, but we'll be happy to have those discussions with the applicant if there is any room for compromise, but I don't believe that's the case here.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. Questions, comments, or motions from the commission? Vice Chairman Grout.
I've gone over to this site at least 3 times, once because my wife had to go to Sprouts, but I've literally walked the site. I haven't gone and trespass, but I've walked the sidewalk. I've looked at the site. It's interesting that the whole front of this site is paved. It's concrete. It's not grass. And I'm not sure what the other uses have been, but in doing a little research, I found out that, and I don't know if you all had leased this or you all did this yourselves, but there was a week-long art, jewelry, and vintage sale held there in 2024 that was broadcast on Facebook. The concern I have is that this is residential. It is in the middle of the block. I'd have less of a concern if this were at a corner. Maybe not the corner at Glasgow, but this is in the middle of the block. I cannot support this because of its location. Yes, it is residential, and it isn't. And if this were in a corner, perhaps you've got neighborhood office over on Lee. You've got I believe it's a doctor's office or one of those emergency doctor's offices. But I just can't support this at this location. I certainly wasn't going to go look in windows, but I didn't see this place as if it was occupied or not. Doesn't matter. It is in the middle of the block, and in that case, I can't support it, and I'm going to make a motion that we deny.
There's a motion on the floor from Vice Chairman Grout to deny this item. Is there a second to that motion? There's a second from Commissioner Fowler. Are there any objections? Any need for further discussion? Commissioner Scruggs.
I'm on, sorry. Yeah, I support the denial, but I do think there's some work that needs to be done by the Southside Civic Association, because when I look at this, from a highest and best use standpoint, the highest and best use of that property is not residential. And so I'm not saying neighborhood commercial is the solution, but Perkins Road, I'm sure it used to be a single lane road and it was out in the country, and at one point it made sense for that to be a residential use. Now it just doesn't. I couldn't imagine. I have 4 children, right? I couldn't imagine trying to convince my wife to live in that home on Perkins Road and have kids, exposed to the traffic on Perkins Road. So I think the owners of those houses right there are going to have problems in the future. And so I think the more that Southside Civic Association can kind of come up with what you would like to see there, that would, maybe not be residential, but would be acceptable use otherwise. I'm just telling you to be proactive because I just don't see how long-term, that highest and best use for that site or any of those lots, those 3 lots, 4 lots there, is to be residential. So that's all I would say to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Scroggs. Director Holcomb, is there a more restrictive zoning than neighborhood commercial if this was ultimately going to need to change to something other than residential?
We do have a neighborhood office zoning district. It's a small-scale professional office zoning district, but unfortunately, it would not be a fit for what the applicant is proposing. But that is the most restrictive zoning district in between single-family residential and anything else outside of residential.
Okay, thank you. We do have a motion on the floor to deny this item from Vice Chairman Grout. That motion received a second from Commissioner Fowler. Are there any objections or any additional discussion? Seeing none, that item is denied. Commission members, as we prepare to move on to the next item, due to a potential conflict, I'm going to recuse myself and ask the Vice Chairman to lead the discussion on this next item.
Case 4925, 10781 Coursey Boulevard.
Case 4925, 10781 Coursey Boulevard. Property is located on the north side of Coursey Boulevard, east of Coursey Court. Council District 8, Amoroso. The applicant is Mimi Wilfong. The future BR land use designation is commercial. The existing zoning is heavy commercial C2 with a requested zoning of commercial warehousing 3, CW3. Case 4925, 10781 Coursey Boulevard.
Staff certifies the proposed request meets the criteria for a change of zoning, being consistent with the comprehensive plan, compatible with surrounding uses, and conforming to Unified Development Code requirements.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask the applicant to come forward for a period of not to exceed 15 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Harper, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant for this rezoning. It's far less exciting, but we're looking to rezone this property from an old heavy commercial C2 zoning to more in line with the business use that's currently in place to the commercial warehouse 3. Basically just bringing it into a more current and applicable zoning. And that's all I got.
Thank you. We have one other speaker card who wishes to speak for Ahmad Parker. Okay. And we have another one for Bo Booty, who does not wish to speak. Is that correct? Okay. All right. We do not have any opposition. So at this time, if the applicant wants to come up for a few more minutes, or no? Okay. Then at this time, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for commissioner comments or motions.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Scroggs and a second from Commissioner Coleman. Yes. Are there any other comments or motions? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we can now move on to the next 2 items. These 2 items can be taken together. That's items 14 and 15, PUD 323 and PUD 124.
PUD 323, Suburb South Baton Rouge Final Development Plan. Property is located on the east side of Nicholson Drive, north of Magnolia Mound. Council District 10, Coleman. The applicant is Carolyn Martin. The applicant is proposing a proposed final development plan for 52 low-density residential units and 20 medium-density residential units, and 3.3 acres of open space. Future BR land use designation is mixed use. PUD 323, Suburb South Baton Rouge Final Development Plan. PUD 124, Nicholson West Final Development Plan. Property is located on the west side of Nicholson Drive, north of West Johnson Street, Council District 10, Coleman. The applicant is Carolyn Martin. The applicant is proposing a final development plan inclusive of 282 high-density multi-family residential units and 96,290 square feet commercial office space. Future BR land use designation is mixed use. PUD 124, Nicholson West Final Development Plan.
Staff certifies the proposed request meets the minimum criteria of a plan unit development, being consistent with the comprehensive plan, compatible with surrounding uses, and conforming to Unified Development Code requirements.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening. Andre Rodrigue with Stantec Consultant Services here on behalf of the applicant and the owner, Carolyn Morton with CPRT and Baton Rouge Land Acquisition. As you noted in the playback there, this is for a final development plan. There are two different PUDs on the east side of Nicholson, which is 3-23. The final development, we came here for a PUD concept plan revision back in August to conform it to what the final development plan is being presented to you here. Low-density residential with two medium-density residential building units located there. On the west side of Nicholson, same thing, came back in August, September for concept plan revision of that portion to fit what the final development plan is being proposed here. This, on the west side, is high-density residential with some mixed use and office allocated throughout the space. The final development plans on both sides or both PUDs, what is being proposed is less than what's entitled into the concept plan. So we were very sensitive to that, and then also increase some of the open space and then also paid keen attention to stormwater management to make sure that we had all the drainage and floodplain mitigation accounted for, so there is no adverse impacts. With that, I request respectfully request your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one speaker card that is in favor of this item for Mr. Ray Groff. He doesn't appear to be present. We have two speaker cards that are in opposition. The first is for Manwin. You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is, I'm not really seeking anything, but here I just want to be a little bit concerned about first of all, the neighborhood is very much private and quiet most of the time. And then building the development, I see it will be, I will see the future will be a lot of traffic going on in the neighborhood, and that's a little bit concerned. I'm not really opposing the whole project here. Another thing I would like to see if any drainage system that in place in the front, because I do not see and I do not have technical skill to read all the planning on the internet. So I just want to make sure those things to be considered, like drainage, and then also hydrant in case we need for emergencies, things like that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Our other card is for Christine Sparrow. Is Ms. Sparrow here? Okay. At this time, I'll invite the applicant back for a 5-minute rebuttal.
Yes, thank you. To the comments that I believe that I captured there was traffic. When Nicholson was redone, the intent or the traffic plan for improvements in Nicholson included what the original PUD intensities were. When I say original, what was approved 15, 16 years ago was super high density. We are a fraction of what that is. So all that to say is that the capacity that was built in and the improvements of Nicholson Highway recently included the plan of this development here. Secondly, drainage and stormwater management, as I mentioned, we have accounted for that in our stormwater management plans. On the east side, the area of impervious is lower than what it was when there were houses there prior to it. So we tried to mimic back to what was there before and make it even into a less impervious area. On the west side, there is an increase in impervious, but we're adding I can't give you the exact number, but it is a tremendous amount of storage we're putting underground, under the parking lots, utilizing pervious parking. I would say probably 80% of the storage that we're utilizing in there is for floodplain management. So a small portion of that is only for stormwater detention because the capacity of the system is there. But we'll have enough capacity for extenuating storms and events to hold there and improve the system upstream and downstream. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission members, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and invite any questions, comments, or motions for this item. Commissioner Scroggs, did you have?
I was going to make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Scroggs to approve this item. Is there a second?
I'd like to have conversation, you know, this is intent.
Okay, one second, Commissioner Coleman.
All right.
There is a second on the floor, I believe, from Commissioner Boyd to approve this item. Are there any objections? Okay, at this time, we'll move on to your
Okay, and
discussion.
so just want to make sure I've had conversations with the folk in that area over there. And as we get to this, you know, this is definitely a corridor there that connects where we are now with LSU, which is a priority corridor. And so we want to make sure that you're all doing your level best to do the best. And quality materials was of utmost importance in that conversation that I had. So I wish you all well. And I would want you to make sure that you pass that on to them, the quality materials. And then I'm also asked that you make sure that that gentleman understood in layman's term the answer to his concern.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
As a council person for this area, we certainly thank you for your remarks, Commissioner Coleman. I believe there's a motion on the floor to approve these items from Commissioner Scroggs. That motion received a second from Commissioner Boyd. Are there any objections or any additional discussion? Seeing none, these items are approved. We'll now move on to item number 16, subdivision 325, Stillwater.
S325 Stillwater subdivision. Property is located on the north side of Comey Drive, east of Plank Road, Council District 2, Kenny. The applicant is Lance Robichaud. Future BR land use designation is residential neighborhood. The applicant is proposing a major residential subdivision with public streets and 167 lots. S325 Stillwater subdivision.
Staff certifies that the proposed request meets the minimum requirements of the Unified Development Code for Planning Commission consideration.
Commission members, at this time, I'll open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for your time. My name is Lance Robichaud. I'm the civil engineer and applicant for this project. This is one that we've been working on for the better part of a year now. Originally, when the design and concept started, we looked at getting the property rezoned to A2.7, with the idea of a certain design in mind. After going through a zoning application and getting feedback from the community, we went back to the drawing board, came back with a A1 rezoning request, which was recently approved. That is what this design reflects. So we have a 75-foot minimum lot width. As mentioned, it's 167 single-family residential lots. We have a total of about 40% open area, which is a significant amount for a 90-acre development. So just want to, start by saying that I take pride in everything that we do, and we look forward to providing a development that the community is proud of. Happy to answer any questions that y'all have, and again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have several speaker cards that are in opposition to this item. The first is for Kimberly Leap. You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Kimberly Leap. I've lived on Comey Drive since 1997. In June, we came before the council with 350 signatures from the neighborhoods in opposition of the Stillwater subdivision that he originally presented. The concerns that we have are not new, nor have they really been addressed. This began in 2022 with Leland Lakes. It was a 109 residential unit. Then in June of 2025, the Stillwater, which they proposed 235 residential units, and now it's 167, in which they're describing this as a major residential subdivision with public streets. In our area, most houses are an acre or to several acres. So this doesn't really fit with the character of our neighborhood. And once we lose the character, it's lost forever. This is not responsible growth. Our roads, drainage, utilities, public services simply can't support the volume of these new homes. This was our concerns in the beginning last time. We are already dealing with routine flooding, and adding more rooftops, driveway, and concrete will only increase runoff and strain a drainage system that is already at capacity. That's not speculation. It's our real lives. It's what we deal with. Comey Drive, if you're not familiar with it, it's a 2-lane road with a center turning lane that unfortunately people will pass you on it, and it's treated as a raceway. The speed limit's 45. People don't go 45. Adding more homes is only going to make this worse, especially during school drop-offs and rush hour traffic. It's a cut-through. A traffic impact study may look acceptable on paper, but those numbers do not reflect the actual condition that residents face daily. Emergency response is also a concern. Our fire protection is provided by our volunteer fire department. More homes mean longer response times and a heavier burden on an already limited system. The same applies to our water and sewer systems, which are already stretched thin. We also need to consider the general area has vacant shopping centers and empty buildings. That does not mean that this area is ready or in demand for new residential expansion. If growth were healthy and sustainable, those existing properties would be revitalized, then the subdivisions built first. The schools are an average D rating. Who wants to put their family in a D rating school system? And we need to ask the hard questions. Why are the developers not building these subdivisions in their own area? Why here, in a rural zone? The answer is simple. Because this is easier and cheaper for them, not safer and better for us. That is the definition of irresponsible growth.
Okay. Sorry, ma'am, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next card is for Angela Creel. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. I've been working on this project, and I've spoken with Mr. Robichaud, and I've spoken with the developers, and I've spoken with a lot of council members. This property has a history of an unpermitted dirt pit. They actually came, or the owner of the property came in front of the planning and zoning and was denied. Still, he went and he had a commercial operated dirt pit on this property that has a 20-plus acre pond. The developer, Mr. Robichaud said that he's going to come in and do, it has 40 acres of open space. 30 acres of that open space is now a pond that they want to have as the retention pond for drainage. The property, I would suggest, if you guys have a chance to look online on Google at 9150 Pettit Road and look at what was dug there. We have a 50-acre pond there, no oversight, no permits. These huge bodies of water was dug after 2016, after the flood that we had. We have not been able to get anyone to go on these properties to inspect them, anyone to tell us what these properties could possibly do during a flood. But now we're proposing to go in there and let's build a 160 home subdivision there. I did not see where there was an independent off-site assessment for drainage on the proposal that was given. The 24.4 area that was excavated with no oversight, they're proposing to put it into a pond retainage. And if you have on this property, the pond as it's going to have a 4-foot walking trail around a 30 acre pond, who is going to take care of that and maintain that pond? We're looking at this. Who is going to make sure that pond can hold that capacity of water, cannot overflow? It's up to the homeowners association. Are we going to have a homeowners association with this subdivision? This subdivision right now, they've dug in wetlands. They've dug in areas near the Comey River and the Whites Bayou watershed without any oversight. We come to you for ask for zoning changes, and we believe if they're not approved, that's going to be upheld. These people did not uphold all of that. I'm asking you not to approve this subdivision until we can get oversight on these properties and find out a 50-acre pond, 20-acre pond, 100-acre pond, what is that going to have effect on the people that live here? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Will Campbell. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
All right. Thank y'all so very much. My name is Will Campbell. I've been living on Comey Drive for 23 years, my wife and I and 3 children. And my concern is the same thing with Kimberly as well as Angela's. So in 2016, a lot of people in the area flooded. And what my concerns is traffic. My concerns is policing, utilities, all of that. And we had to rebuild the area, the condensity of it. Another concern is price points of what type of housing or the quality that they're going to build there. That's another concern that I have, in the size of those houses. So we're very concerned about our neighborhood, about the safety. Are we going to add more policing there? Those are the things that we're concerned about for our neighborhood. So I did what Angela and Kimberly said, and we want you guys to reject this change in our community.
Thank you. Our next card is for George Moore, Jr. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Been a long night. My name is George Moore, Jr. I was here before. I thought it was a lone voice crying in the wilderness. Now I have some neighbors here who are feeling the same as I feel about the project. Of course, when they dug the dirt from that property, he keeps calling it a 90-acre or 99-acre site. It's not. It's void of a lot of the dirt, and I know exactly where it went. It went to build a new children's hospital. I've never seen them. I'm a contractor, have been over 50 years, and that thing was operating 24 hours a day, all night and all day. The only time they stopped digging and hauling dirt and slamming steel tailgates was during LSU's football games. That's it. So I have a bad experience with the property. That's why I try and come down here to try and figure out what's going on. It's going to impact me more than anyone else you'll see here, because the Leland that was okayed had 14 lots that were abutting my property. I don't know about the 167 lots. I haven't seen a plat. But the last one that they came, when Stillwater came, they had 18 lots that were abutting my property where I live. And so I've been there since for 25 years at that location, where they're going to connect the street into Brentwood Place subdivision, I lived there since 1979, and I sold that house and then built my house where I am now. I live exactly where I want to live, in the exact spot where I want to live. It is so quiet and peaceful. Sometimes I have as many as 10 deer running out by my pond in the backyard. It is just a tranquil place to live. I simply want to know how many people are going to be coming close to my property. I'm one guy, George Moore Jr. I have not gotten a call. I gave my number to the developers last time I was here. And so I have to come to the meeting to find out what they're doing. I'm sure they put a lot of work into it. Councilman Kenny is a pretty good councilman. He stays on top of things. I'm glad to see my neighbors here. The first time I came, I was here alone. And then they came. A cavalcade of them came the second time. And so I didn't even know what they had done, what changes they had made it. I just have questions. I like to stay on top of what's happening where I live. 72 years old, in the early winter, hopefully, of my life. I just want quiet calmness.
Thank you. We have one additional speaker card that has indicated they do not wish to speak, and that is for Benjamin Creel. At this time, I'll invite the applicant back for a 5-minute rebuttal.
Thank you. Yeah, so I definitely want to start by saying I hear the constituents' concerns. I think that we have shown that coming back with the different zoning. When we left the zoning application for A2.7, we kind of left that meeting with the recommendation to come back with something that was more cohesive for the surrounding community, which if you look at the surrounding zoning map, it is majority A1. So that was, our reasoning with that. We feel that is, a more cohesive design that matches the surrounding neighborhoods. To I guess comment on some of the concerns of the constituents. As far as the existing or previous operations of a dirt pit on the property, obviously as the applicant and as representing the new owner coming in and developer, we really have no control over what happened in the past, but we can address those concerns moving forward. So the first concern of the borrow pit, the large borrow pit on site. I've walked the site several times. There is no outfall structure or outfall pipe for that borrow pit right now. It's providing zero stormwater storage for the property. So it's essentially, a flat water table, doesn't store any stormwater runoff. Yes, our proposed detention pond would encompass that borrow pit, but we would be making several modifications. So in the areas where the borrow pit, encroached on the on the White Bayou drainage servitude, we would, build out the embankment there. We would build up the top banks to be able to provide stormwater storage that is currently not available. So that's all, things that we'll go through and work with the East Baton Rouge Parish engineering to make sure, we meet their standards and exceed those expectations. I do think that this development will it will force a lot of the issues that have been brought up to be addressed, whether it's traffic or drainage or utilities. I'm confident that the Planning Commission in East Baton Rouge Parish is not going to approve construction plans and construction drawings that do not, have the infrastructure to support that development. I guess other than that, addressing the size of the lots and the value of the homes, coming back with the A1 zoning, forcing a 75-foot minimum lot width, that is going to increase and directly affect the value of these homes. So I think that's something that we have shown an effort to compromise on, and we definitely want to, like I said, provide a community or provide a development that is something the community can be proud of. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commission members, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and invite any questions or comments from the commission. Commissioner Coleman.
If memory serves me correctly, and Councilman has verified this, you came before, and then you were asked by the constituents to downgrade this to an A1. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
All right, and so, according to Councilman, he said to me that the developer said that they'll come back on day one, and the community pushed them to size down to A1 to fit the neighborhood standards. And if the developer followed that code, then you all did your job. The developer needs to make sure that it addresses the flooding issues and traffic. So
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
done all of that.
Yes, ma'am, and we will do that through the design process. That's definitely going to be a high point.
And that's Councilman Kenny,
Yes, ma'am.
constituents.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Additional questions? You can remain at the podium in case we have any additional questions, sir. Additional questions or comments regarding this item? Any motions for this item? Commissioner Coleman? Is that a motion for approval, Commissioner?
A motion for approval.
There's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Coleman to approve this item. I believe we have a second from Commissioner Boyd. Are there any objections? Any additional discussion? Seeing none, that item is approved.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on, ma'am. We have to maintain order. We gave everyone a chance to speak. The public hearing is concluded, ma'am. Please, ma'am, we have to maintain order for this meeting. Thank you. Thank you very much. At this time, Commissioners, we'll move on to communications, beginning with Director's comments.
Few things, reminders, the Planning Commission office will be closed on Thursday and Friday, November 27th and 28th for the Thanksgiving holiday. I'd like to wish a belated happy birthday to Commissioner Ellender and Commissioner Scroggs, who both share a November birthday. Happy birthday. I'd like to announce the next meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled for Monday, December 15th.
Okay. Thank you, Director Holcomb. At this time, we'll move on to Commissioners' comments. And I'd like to take this time to congratulate our newest employee of the month, Jeremy Grimion, a planner in the current division. Jeremy reviews subdivisions, site plans, conditional use permits, and planned unit developments, collaborating with other departments and leveraging his architecture background to efficiently review plans. He readily adapts to any assigned task, assists with training, and keeps the review process running smoothly. Jeremy ensures tasks are completed on time with meticulous attention to detail, and his thoroughness and willingness to help others make him a valuable team member. Please join me in congratulating Jeremy. Are there any additional comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I do need to make one quick statement.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'll invite you to make that announcement.
I'd like to share with the planning commissioners the recent passing of Mr. Troy Bunch, former planning director. Troy was a distinguished landscape architect, urban planner, and public servant whose career spanned more than 5 decades. Troy served as a planning director from 1995 until his retirement in 2013. He led the implementation of the Horizon Plan, Louisiana's first comprehensive land use plan, and worked closely with former Mayor Kip Holden on the development of future BR. He also guided other substantial initiatives, including the City Parish GIS system, the Brownfields program, efforts that continue to shape Baton Rouge's growth and development today. Personally, Troy hired me right out of college, and I worked with him for 10 years prior to his retirement. He will be missed and fondly remembered by his family, friends, and colleagues. We miss you, Troy.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. While I've had the opportunity and pleasure to work with you and your predecessor, Frank Duke, I did not have a chance to work with Troy, but I have heard wonderful things about the service that he gave to this community. So if you all would join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Are there any other comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion on the floor from Vice Chairman, second from Commissioner Coleman. If there are no objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
The meeting is adjourned. Do I have a?
Yes, ma'am.